My word, you are all a bit soggy. Is that better? Yes, that's better. It's raining, chaps. It's proper raining. It wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be. And actually we had quite a decent plan for today. Today we were going to get the first early potatoes in the bed, and that was going to be the Caledonian Pearl and the Red Duke of York. The Red Duke of York, although I have ordered some online now, haven't arrived. They were supposed to be here yesterday. They ain't. So that was the first slight hiccup. But we did have the Caledonian Pearl already nice chitting in the conservatory, ready to go. And there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so 4 rows of Caledonian Pearls, 4 rows of Red Duke. And look how beautifully. Well, we went to pick up the Caledonian Pearls and we made a horror discovery. Now, if you are squeamish or don't like bugs, look away now. Chaps, a terrible discovery. Have a look at this. See all that white stuff in there? They are covered in mealybugs. Little buggers. So as you know, we have had our potatoes chitting in the conservatory nicely. We've been checking them. They've been coming along fine, or so we thought. Can I show you? Can you see that? No, not really. Actually, I mean, trying to find the upside. I can't film them. I can't get the camera to get in close enough. However, fairly recently, I was given this little mysterious looking device by my dad for exactly this occasion. Because as you know, I film everything on my phone. And this is a microscope that goes over the phone camera. Let me see if I can show you what I can see on the potatoes with this. Lucky you. Let's just try and clip this over the edge of the phone. And what? Oh, they're even worse close up. Oh. JB very accurately described them as wood lice with a fungal infection. Because that's exactly what they look like. Oh, that is so annoying. Why is there always something? Actually, I tell you what, this little microscope is blooming impressive. That's an impressive little camera. Look how hairy the potato is. Well, that's a change of plans for today then. So the long and the short of that is that we are not going to be planting the potatoes out today. To be fair, it's not great weather for digging or like doing anything actually outdoors. But we're up here, so we're going to do something, but it's just not going to be potatoes. How annoying is that? How annoying is that? What we're going to do about it though, is normally when you're getting mealybugs, I've never had mealybugs on potatoes before, like I said. Like I was really shocked. I was like, what the hell is this? Not only have I never had mealybugs on kind of potatoes or vegetable things before, I've never seen them that big. I've only ever had mealybugs on houseplants, in which case all you do is get a load of soapy water and wash them off. Do it a couple of times and they do go. But where the chitting sprouts are on the potatoes, so delicate. I mean, you know how quickly they break off. I don't want to go like digging around in there with a you know, scrubber. So, oh, there's a chicken in here. You're right. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is mix up some soapy water in a spray and just spray the potatoes and let them dry off, and then spray them again, let them dry off, and hope that that kills them, because I mean that's grim. That's grim, but pretty nifty that microscope, isn't it? I mean, I'd rather not be showing you mealybugs, but still, it was impressive. So, what are we going to do today? Are you super sog? Oh yeah, look at that. It's so soggy. So soggy. You're sitting here with me, love. Hey, you're sitting here with me. Yeah, gorgeous pussycat. And some gorgeous girlies. Wet chickens. So yeah, change of plans, but what I do have up here is a load of seed that I didn't get to sow last week, and I'd completely forgotten about it. You know when you like bring something up to do it, and it's no longer in your to-do pile at home, kind of gets ticked, even though it's not been done. So it's probably a good thing that I've been rooting around in here. Okay, so my pile, I've got spring onions. These are the Lilia. The last lot that I sowed were the Ishikura, and they are just about ready to go out. I'm not going to plant them out today because pants out there, but they are pretty much ready to go out. So I'm going to get another lot started. That's the Lilia, my favourite, that really beautiful red one. Interestingly, on this packet, they look like they bulb up quite a lot at the bottom. I've never really found them to do that. They tend to be a lot straighter, but definitely that colour. Gorgeous, gorgeous spring onion. Great flavour as well, which is obviously like the crucial bit. Doesn't matter if it's pretty, if it tastes disgusting, does it? Nope. And I've got nasturtiums. Now, if you watched the potty mouth flower special that we had, what was it? 3 weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. I did mention that I was going to be introducing some new varieties of nasturtiums, and I've got 4 to put in. So I'm just going to get some trays for all of this and go into the greenhouse where it is dry. And I'll see you in there in a sec. You're already in there? Yeah, that's the one. I'll bring it in now. Okie dokie. In here. Ah, just realised that probably sounded a bit weird because my microphone is attached to the coat. That'll do. I'm going to do spring onions first in a tray like this. I don't know if I'll do the whole lot, depends how much seed is in there really. The first lot of spring onions I did in these really fantastic short root trainers. Let me just grab one. So these are, oh, I just had them open, so they're all a bit loose. So these are the Ishikura spring onions that we sowed on Boxing Day. They've had a bit of a tough time. They dried out a couple of times, but they've recovered really, really well. The reason that I'm not doing more spring, I've got another tray of these, but the reason that I'm not going to do my spring onions in there again is I think that they're too big. So when I plant my spring onions out, I plant them like multi-sown. I don't put them out individually. I think that's just too many, it's too wide, so I'm going to put them in the smaller, and I'm not going to do spring onions in this size pot again. But I think this size pot is going to be perfect for putting the things like the cosmos in once they get to this sort of size. You know, once they've germinated, I'm going to pop my cosmos up into this size pot. It's just slightly too big for the spring onions. Spring onions are one of the things that I am actually quite on it with doing the succession sowing because I love them so much, and you can just use them in everything. I mean, they're just the most versatile little thing. Yes, you can chop them up and use them in salads and that kind of thing, but also in stir fries. You can use them just straight picked and stuck on the barbecue whole. Oh, they are just so sweet. And these Lilia are just such a magnificent little spring onion. So I'm putting about, how many is that? Maybe 6 in each cell. That might be a little excessive, but you just pick them as you go, and then you thin them out, take the small ones as each one gets bigger. You know the process. They're just such an easy thing, and I'll dot them all across the allotment. They're onions and alliums and stuff. People often say you can kind of sow them amongst other stuff, and the smell of them puts bugs off. I mean, I think that's probably wishful thinking, but they are a quick crop. And sorry, just trying to get these seeds back in. They're all stuck between my fingers. Sorry, just trying to get them. Come on. Oh, just go straight down the gaps of the fingers. Yeah, so they are just such a versatile little crop. they're so short-lived in the ground. You know, they can be ready. Obviously, the ones that I sowed on Boxing Day have really rather taken their time, but that's because it was so early in the year. By this time of year, and by like when you're planting them in May, they're like ready so fast. It's 3 months basically. Not for the ones sown on Boxing Day because we're already at 3 months, but the weather, you know, if you're sowing them in the winter, that's what happens. So at the moment, I would still sow spring onions in modules in the greenhouse. I think it's still a bit cold for them outside, but by the time you get to like April, just be chucking them straight out, just sowing them in drills, you know. Perfect. Right, we have spring onions. Then I've got to think about what kind of pot I'm going to sow the nasturtiums into. Okay, I've got 4 varieties of nasturtiums and I'm just going to sow them into these quite far apart, and then I will prick them out, and probably, depending on how the weather's going, there's blooming 2 flies in here. And I don't normally introduce 4 new species of nasturtium each year. I tend to let them self-seed all across the allotment, you know, because nasturtiums are very, very free self-seeders. So we'll start seeing them all pop up over the next couple of weeks out there in the wilds. Normally I introduce 1 sort of new variety each year because they cross-pollinate, and then the next year you get kind of a mishmash of all of them and all kind of different shades. Normally I only introduce sort of 1 each year and it kind of feeds into the general cacophony of nasturtiums, but this year I happen to have 4 varieties, but I'm really keen to have all of them because they're gorgeous. So we are going for 4 new varieties this year. So the ones that we've got already kind of dotted across the plot are a mixture of the bog standard bright blooming orange monster nasturtiums. You know the ones, proper orange nasturtiums. I also introduced a pale yellow one a couple of years back, and then that's kind of filtered in. So we've got a couple of pales, a couple of the really bright orange, some that are somewhere in between. And then about 3 years ago, I introduced one that was almost a pinkish colour, but then it had this almost like black splash up the centre, a black splash up the centre, like these big things. And then from that point, we have had the most fantastic mixture of yellow, orange, and really, really dark blackish ones with these all different coloured kind of stripes up the centre. Absolutely gorgeous, like big old mix of them. Now, the ones that I'm introducing this time is going to really mix up the colours a bit. So I've got this really beautiful, pale, peachy, streaky number, which is called Pink Blush, understandably. I think that looks so pretty. I've got Black Velvet, which I have introduced previously. It's the really, really dark one. It's dark red. It's not really black, but I never really get a lot of them. So I'm going to put some more of them out there this year. We had one that was brilliant last year in the asparagus patch. It was so beautiful. So I'm hoping to get a few more of them this year. Got one that is pretty much purple Emperor. Rather lovely. I don't think I've ever seen a nasturtium actually that colour, so it'll be interesting to see how true it is to the packet. And then, so I don't have 4 varieties, I've got 5 because this is a double. We've got like a peachy colour and then a dark red in there. So yeah, these are the 4 new introductions for this year. Well chaps, first fail of the week. I thought I was recording that and it turns out I wasn't. So what I've got now, magically, here's one I made earlier off camera, are all of my nasturtiums in there. I just tipped each packet in and then spread them around. So they're all kind of reasonably spaced. I mean, depending on how many was in there, you can see there was less in this one, more in that one. So this one's a bit closer together. That's the Black Velvet. And something quite extraordinary happened. One of you have obviously sent me these because hidden inside was an extra gem. In this little wrapped up thing here, it has miniature nasturtiums written on it, and there were these little chaps were inside. Now, I might be making an absolute leap here, but that looks like Ali's handwriting. Is that you, madam? If it was, thank you so much. I've only just made this discovery. If it was somebody else, please let me know who has sent me this bit of excitement. Miniature nasturtiums, never heard of such a thing. Anyway, that is what we've got in this one. So, no idea on colour or how miniature they are. The seeds look sort of roughly the same size. So, yeah, that's incredibly exciting. So, although there was a fail in the lack of filming, there was a discovery that makes up for it. Oh, today is not going well, chaps. Hang on, I'm just going to move you up because I'm crouching. But yeah, what with the potato discovery and the lack of me filming, and yeah, it's one of those days. It's one of those days today, I can tell. I seem to be having rather a lot of those days recently. I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, that is my rumba mix, which is the apricot coloured one and the dark, so it's like the double packet, the pairing. This one is purple emperor. Oh, there's a bloody snail on it. It's now an ejected snail. Purple emperor is, well, the purple one. Very beautiful. Next up, black velvet. Absolutely gorgeous. I love them. And black velvet is such an excellent name for them, because when the nasturtiums are like that, when the nasturtiums are that dark, oh, they do look just like velvet. They're absolutely gorgeous. This one is the pink blush, the little pale pink one with the sort of slightly darker pink streaks. Wonderful. And then the bonus little miniature. How exciting. How exciting. Okay. Let's get all of these on. That one can probably go there, actually. Do, 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 do. Go. These out of the way. I will photograph these actually, because I've completely shredded the packet, just so that I know what I've got or what I'm looking for. And I tell you what, when we did the plot tour 2 weeks ago, just before that, some of the nasturtiums had started coming up in the beds out there, the self-seeded ones. But then we had that cold snap and it kind of wiped them out. There's only about 4 or 5, but I'm going to go and have a look and see if any more have come up since, because we've had some really warm weather in the last couple of days. It's been wet, but warm. I've got blooming sunshine, lollipops in, and that's the only words I know from it. I know I've had it in my head all morning, just to add to the general sense of doom. Sunshine, lollipops and something, something, something. Let's go and have a look for some nasturtiums. So this was the bed where they were done, and yes, we have some more up. So actually in this area was where we had the, I don't know if it was actually black velvet, but we had that one really dark one just in here last year. And there are 3 little nasturtiums coming up here. You can see what I mean, how distinctive they are. Like, there's no mistaking what that is. So we've got 1 there, 2 there. This whole area was very heavy on the nasturtium front last year, so I'm expecting a lot more to come up. Is that one there? Yeah, we got another one there, really tight into that strawberry. And we had another patch over there. I wonder if anything's come up around the garlic chives. We've got another little chap coming up here. These garlic chives are looking gorgeous. Actually, I might take some of them home with me today. They're like the absolute peak before the black fly get them. And under here, yeah, look, we've got another one coming. Oh, we got a lily. I'm looking for nasturtiums, love, not pussycats. No, not pussycats. So I expect them to start popping up all over the place now. There's some place like in there where the strawberries are. I don't actually want to have nasturtiums there next year. They made it a bit difficult with the strawberries. Although there was some suggestion that the strawberries under there didn't get eaten by the mice and the squirrels because the nasturtiums were also there. So I don't know whether it masked the smell or whether it was the look of them because it's bright red. You know, the strawberries don't show up so much. But I'm not going to put them in there because they harbour slugs like crazy. So the squirrels didn't get the strawberries, but the slugs did. But I'm going to use all of the little patches where they come up, so there should be a whole load coming up in the fruit cage as well as like nursery beds for them. They transfer really easily, so when I start dotting those ones out that I've just done in the greenhouse, once I start dotting them around, I'll transfer any little nasturtium seedling that's coming up, say in the middle of bed or whatever, shuffle it to the edge of the bed, and they'll be growing in a more convenient spot. The same thing will happen with the calendula. We just let that self-seed where it was last year. So once they get like, 5 centimetres tall, I'll just whip them out and start dotting them around where I want them as well. Not a complete wasted morning, but I think I might pick some lunch and go home, have a kip maybe even, and wake up again and see if the day's any better. Second half. Good morning. I am armed with soapy, like dishwasher liquid fairy mixed up with a bit of water in a spray gun, and I'm going to attack the potatoes. I'm just going to do one set first just to see how it works. But essentially the soapy dishwasher liquid should kill off the mealybugs. That's how I would normally get rid of them on houseplants. And we've had a couple, we had a money tree in here, a couple of other bits and pieces that have been in here for years. And once we had a good look at them, we realised that they did have mealybug. Not anywhere near as big an infestation as on the potatoes, which is odd. But regardless, normally that's how you'd get rid of them on a houseplant. Soapy liquid, give them a bit of a brush off. Don't want to brush them off on the potatoes because they're a bit delicate and I don't want to knock off the growth eyes. So I'm going to spray one set and see if it gets rid. So mealybugs, like that, they're normally a houseplant problem. They're normally only a houseplant problem in this country because they need things to be warm and humid, which would mean that when I plant the potatoes out, theoretically the mealybugs shouldn't survive, which would be fine for like the Caledonian pearl that I'm planning to put out really soon. But a lot of the other potatoes I'm not planning to put out just yet. So they're going to be in here for a little while. So I do really want to get rid of the little buggers. So yeah, I'm going to spray one set and we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. So who's going to be the first candidate, huh? I think it's going to be Cur's Pink. That is this one here, which is really just, I mean, I'm not going to give you the close-up with the fancy camera again, but can you see how much white there is on there? They're really, and they're right jammed down in like the node where the things come out. So I think I would just knock them off if I tried. So, right, we're just going to get a dousing. One problem with this though is that obviously the potatoes don't want to be, can you see me? The potatoes don't want to be wet for a long time. So I'm going to kind of spray them and then air them out so that they dry off pretty quick so they don't rot. And so we will leave that now for 24 hours, have a look at it tomorrow morning and see if it's had any effect on the buglets. Right, I'm going to wash my hands and then head up to the allotment because we've got some rather exciting visitors coming to inspect our pond this morning. Like I was saying at home, some exciting visitors coming to have a look at the pond today. So do you remember Pat? Pat is a friend of mine who we all spend Christmas with, and he pops up. Yeah, so Pat is a park ranger at Richmond Park, and him and his friends are coming to have a look at our toad spawn because they haven't spotted any toad spawn in the park this year. So they're coming to have a look at ours, and I'm hoping that they're going to show me what newt eggs look like because I've never managed to find the newt eggs, and I know that the pond is stuffed full of newts, so they've got to be in there somewhere, but I don't really know what I'm looking for. So I'm hoping we're going to have a bit of an exchange. Toad spawn viewing for newt egg IDing. But pond reconnaissance group are yet to show up, so I'm going to pick the flowering sprouts off my calets because they've all pretty much blown. We couldn't eat them fast enough. Luckily they're delicious, so it doesn't really matter. Well, we didn't find any newt eggs. Apparently they occur quite deep in the bottom of the pond where sort of oak leaves and things have fallen in, and they fold them over, and then if you try and open them up to look at them, you can, wreck the eggs. So we didn't do that. But then later that day, came home and something else happened. She happened. So I'm going to go and get myself a glass of wine and then I'll tell you all about it. Hey, come on. You coming? You going to come with me? I think so. So yeah, the back end of this week was a complete write-off. Halley, I'd like to introduce you to the wonderful people who watch us on YouTube every week. YouTube, meet Halley. Oh, Halley was a complete surprise. The day that Pat came up to look at the toad spawn, later that evening, about like 6:30 in the evening, my other half was like, right, get your shoes on, we're going to pick up your birthday present. I was like, my birthday's not until next week. So I was a bit like, all right, it's a bit strange. Yeah, and what we were going to pick up was this incredible little creature. Incredible little creature. Took us a while to kind of think about what to call her. She has a little white marking on her nose. If I can get nice and close. Can you see? Pick your face up, dearie. Come on, up. No. Can I make her look upwards? Yeah, there we go. Can you see how that looks like Halley's Comet? Maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but I think it looks like Halley's Comet. So that is why she is called Halley. And she's absolutely gorgeous. And if you remember Annie, God, I love that cat. Still love that cat. And his brother. And I think about them daily. But this little monster has made me remember what it was like when we first got Annie and Zeph. I mean, Annie sounds like she's a girl. He's a boy. It's short for Anakin. But oh God, it's just such a beautiful cat. But we got Annie and Zeph in France when I was living out there, and they were so much smaller than Hal is. They were like 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old. I know that's far too young to take a kitten away from its mother, but they weren't. It was a farm cat was the mother, and they were just going to get rid of the kittens, and we took them. There had been 3 of them, one of them had died. We took the other 2. Zeph was grey and Annie was black and white. And yeah, and I tell you what, teaching kittens to use a litter tray when they haven't learnt off their mother is quite a thing, which is something else. This is incredible. This little animal here, she's just so precise, and she knows where the litter tray is, and she knows where her dins are, and you're so civilised and so beautiful. And I absolutely adore her already. She's been here like 4 days, is it? You've been 4 days? Yeah. So, the newest member of Plot 37. Yeah, Bunny Rabbit, the newest member. You'll be seeing a lot of her. I mean, obviously at the moment, she's kind of railroading us getting a lot of stuff done at the allotment, because Mum and I, because she's so young and she's just kind of getting used to the house, we always make sure somebody's here with her, which means like it's a bit difficult. Mum and I both go to the allotment. So we're we're working it. She can stay for an hour on her own. She's absolutely fine. At the moment, she mainly kips, as you can see. Don't you? You mainly kip. But then she has bursts of activity and chasing and games in between. So yeah, we're working it out slowly. But it's funny because there was no preparation, because it was a complete surprise. It's been a bit like, oh my God, getting all of Annie's old stuff out of the shed that we didn't throw away. And it's so ridiculous. Annie was, I've said he was a really, really tiny cat when we first got him, and he was minuscule. But, later in his years, it was a bit of a chonk. And all of the stuff is so big. And like you put Hal next to it, and it's just like, my goodness, you can't use that litter tray. Can't even get in it. So we've been doing a lot of that kind of stuff this week, and going and getting kitten treats and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's a joy, and she's gorgeous, and I love her. But getting back to the subject at hand, the allotment. I have a lot of stuff that I need to catch up with sowing. It's not stuff that I'm late for, but it's stuff that I kind of thought I would get sown in the first half of March. It's things like beetroot. I've got a load more lettuces to put in. One of the ones I need to re-sow is the lamb's lettuce. Not a single one of them came up. I don't know if you remember, I sowed them, was it right at the end of February? Not a sausage, whereas the Webb's Wonderful and what was the other one that I sowed? Was it Valmain? Might have been Lobjoy. I think it was Lobjoy's. Anyway, all the rest of them came up. It's just the lamb's lettuce was a fail. So I'm going to leave that until the beginning of April and sow that direct into the soil at the allotment, because it should be warm enough by then. Fingers crossed. But there's a lot of other things on the list, like I say, beetroot. There's quite a lot of brassicas that I haven't started that I intended to this month, and this is the last week in March, so I've got to be on it. But the main events for the coming week are, well, it's my birthday, it's Easter, and it's tomato sowing week. Now, I've spent a lot of time going through all the different incredible tomato varieties that we've got, trying to decide. There's so many that I know I want, like I've grown in previous years, but if I only grow the ones that I know I love, that like takes up all of my space. So I'm growing my tomatoes, I'll talk about this next week, but I'm growing my tomatoes in 3 spaces. I've got the ones that are going to go into the polytunnel. There's space for 17 tomatoes in there, so I'll get my 17 in there. Outdoors at the allotment, I'm going to sow a whole load of different blight resistant varieties. So they're all going to go outside in the bed. If anybody's got a recommendation for a specific blight resistant variety that you think tastes really good, please let me know in the comments, because I can plant as many of them as I can. Like obviously the 17 in the polytunnel are my limited ones. And I've been really lucky with growing in the polytunnel in terms of blight. Like we haven't had too much of a problem, but ones outside obviously very, very vulnerable, especially if we have a year like we did last year when it was just really muggy and humid and perfect blight weather. So I'm going to do those. And I've tried quite a few blight resistant varieties a long time ago in the past, before we had a polytunnel to grow in. And I've got to say, a lot of them were totally tasteless. I was really unimpressed. So if anybody's got any recommendations for good ones, obviously that was like 10 years ago. And the number of tomato varieties that are available has just exploded. So I'm expecting there to be a lot that I haven't heard of. So yeah, hit me with your blight resistant yummy tomatoes underneath. But because I've got so many varieties that I really want to try, I'm also going to put some in the back garden. Obviously that is outdoor growing, but last year we had a load of tomatoes in the back garden and we didn't get any blight. So I think they've got a better chance in our urban back garden where nobody else is growing tomatoes around to survive a bit of blight. So yes, 17 varieties that really, really I want to get something out of that are going to go into the polytunnel. As many blight resistant varieties as I can get hold of to grow outside in the beds at the allotment, and then anything else that I'm desperate to try that I don't have space for in the poly will go in the back garden. A lot of that sowing that I'll be catching up with next week was stuff that was supposed to be the tail end of this week, including getting the potatoes in the bed, but I was somewhat derailed by a very small, very beautiful little animal. And I'm not complaining, but it just means I have to catch up next week. So we've got a lot to do before the week after it's going to be April. What else is there? Yes, Easter. So we'll be doing the Easter egg hunt again. There will be prizes for patrons. I won't do prizes for everybody, but you know, you will be honoured if you get the right answer. You'll be bigged up on the following video. Anyway, cheers, chaps. Cheers to all of my patrons who are just the most magnificent people and the entire reason that this vlog exists. And cheers to everybody else. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you're feeling less behind than I am. Bring on spring. Cheers, chaps. Oh, I'm going to end the video with, you know, small animal when she's not fast asleep.